Welcome to Mary Walter Radio. How are you? I knew you were here because I said, "Oh, okay, there's 4 seconds left. I can put us up." And you're like rearranging furniture or doing I don't know what. I'm Mary
That's right.
Walter, and that is my wonderful work husband, James, James Ravick. You can find him on Twitter at Switch to Richard. Thank you to everyone for joining us. Let's see who's here. All right, Bill is here. Hello, Bill. How are you? And look who's in early. Pete, sweet Pete. We missed last week. Pete kind of slid in at the end there, so
It did.
we missed him. So I just want to tell you, we have a guest next week. I just got to look up who it is.
Kevin McCarthy.
Yeah, I think he's gonna be free.
You like
Um,
it?
yeah, let me
Cut that with that.
see. This was like 10,000 emails going back and forth. Uh, John Tillman, who's the CEO of American Culture Project and the founder and chair of some conservative organizations. And he's had some pieces in the Wall Street Journal, Fox News, that kind of thing. So he's going to be joining us. He's a very persistent publicity person who clearly thinks this podcast is way bigger than it is. Is that better? That's better. I'm not so bright. Let's see. Oh, now Tex USA is here. Yay. We got to get them on too. I keep saying the Republican slogan, if you cannot dazzle them with brilliance, baffle them with BS.
That sounds
Mark
right.
is in the house. Mark, I have to tell you, Mark is amazing. He sends me a message every Friday to wish me a great weekend. Isn't that nice? That's
Oh,
such a sweetie. I
that's very
know.
sweet, Mark.
Yeah, not McCarthy. Yes, the guest is not McCarthy. So, thank you for joining us. If you have not subscribed to the channel, please do. We would love you for doing that. Also, please go back and watch, old episodes. That would be fantastic. Tell your family and friends, bribe them to like podcasts. You gotta like them. Please like them. We would appreciate that. And we have some new subscribers. DMS Penguin.
Hmm?
Uh, Digital Avenue 2
Okay.
and Jim E. Jones, but I may have said Jim E. Jones last week. I don't remember if I did or didn't. I
Welcome
think
either
not.
way.
Oh, look who else is here. Rachel is here. Little Ashton. The wedding. Yes, the wedding's next Sunday. We're going to talk about that today. Ringo's here. Mary was fantastic on Wednesday. Thank you so much. We had technical issues their and my end. Their phones weren't working. For whatever reason, Comcast at our house just kept dropping. And remember how it dropped out like a couple of weeks ago here?
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know what is going on. Everything in this country, I swear, we're like a third world country now. Nothing works. It's ridiculous.
I'm waiting for
Nothing works.
rolling blackouts coming soon.
That's why they want everything to be electric. So that the security system on your home goes down, and then thieves and thugs and roving bands of gangs, they don't have to do so much work. It's like it'll be like trick or treating for them. They can just go house to house during the blackout because none of your security systems will work, and you won't be able to own a gun. And then just come to your house, and then they get to shop and take whatever an estate sale without you actually consenting, and then they take it, and that's what it's going to be.
But weren't isn't the reason we have all those guns to protect us from a government of tyranny? Don't you think it's about time somebody should do something? I'm not calling for a revolution on air. That would be irresponsible. I'm just saying, and I'm saying we have a Second Amendment. We're
Well,
talking about it's for tyranny, and we're all talking about how pretty soon they're going to shut down our security systems and slow our cars down. And
yeah, you won't be able to go anywhere. The new thing is that environmentalists are upset because tires apparently emit something into the air that's bad for you. And the funny thing is that electric cars make it worse because they're heavier. So you go through tires faster, and it apparently emits more of this dust or whatever. But okay, listen, it's way safer getting to the hospital in a car with the evil rubber tires than it is in a chariot with wood ones. Which you can't even have wooden ones because you have to cut down trees. So,
you can't use real rubber because that's also from a tree. So.
right, yeah,
We're
these
past
people
all
just
those.
have to. We just have to live in caves. Look who's in the house. Barry and Cy. Better late than never. Hey,
Konnichiwa.
Mazel Tov on the recent Jewish holidays. Can you believe our sump pump is still running?
Through all that, when you have like a nor'easter parked over your house for 10 years.
Yeah. And we didn't even realize it. We thought we were good. I was blow drying my hair the other day, and I was in my bathroom, and I had been using because Doug's bathroom has a heated floor, and so it was cold, and so I was in his bathroom because my bathroom is out over a porch and doesn't have a heated floor, and it's cold. And I'm blow drying my hair, and in the mirror, I'm like, what is on the, and I look and you could see where we must have had a water come in, and it's just brown drip stains that it was from on the
Oh.
ceiling. So now that's got to come down. We got to fix that because you can't just paint over it because it'll
Mm-mm.
just come through. And then
Mm-hmm.
I was in what we call the cattery. It's just this little room, and we have a cat condo in there, and we have a litter box in there and stuff. And I was in there, I'm cleaning up the litter box, and I look up and I see, and this is a newly painted wall like 3 years ago, not even. And I just see this big bubble, and I'm like, ah, crap. So I go upstairs, and it's on the side of a fireplace. So I go upstairs to the one of our workout rooms, and the fireplace is the chimney's up there, and I look, and the hole is just like, so that's got to come down. I'm like, I can't get ahead. I can't get ahead. I do one thing and then two other things pop up on my radar. And the optimist that I'm married to is like, don't worry about it. We'll just scrape that down, and we'll just like we just put some more tape on it. We mud it. We paint it again. I'm like, sure, that doesn't sound like a lot of work. And he thinks that we're just gonna like, I don't know, Mr. Clean the stain out of the ceiling in my
Yeah.
bathroom and then just repaint it. That's what he thinks we're gonna do. So
OxyClean and Sure Seal or whatever that stuff's called.
we,
That
yeah, they're
Black
gonna have to
Seal
put
stuff
it.
that fixes boats.
Yeah, Flex Seal. They're gonna have to put
Black
it on the
Seal.
chimney. That's
Yeah.
something they got. So, but we have a 25-year warranty, so the roofing guys have to come back now and they have to fix that leak. But it was because we had like 9 days of a nor'easter. What was it? Saturday, we got we got 7 inches of rain in a day in 24 hours. It was insane. It was crazy. I posted a video. The rain was coming down so hard it almost looked like there was hail in it, like it was white, like there were pieces in it.
Yeah.
So I posted a video from one of our doors looking out onto the driveway, and they used it on the Weather Channel or weather.com or something. They're like, hey, can we use your video? I'm like, sure, whatever, go ahead. Because it was
Nice.
just coming down so hard.
I'm way more. I mean, it sounds irrational, but I'm way more afraid of nor'easters than I am hurricanes. I mean, I've been through two
Really?
hurricanes. Yeah, I mean, I drove through Sandy to get to work and Irene, and
Yeah.
I was in the wrong part. I ended up being in the worst part where Irene was. Like, I've been through some hurricanes, and that wind is scary for a second. But a nor'easter just parks over your area and just floods you with rain. That's it, just rain and rain and rain
We
and
also
rain and
had
rain.
we had for almost a week winds of 30 mile an hour winds. It was
Yep.
insane because first we had Ophelia and then we had this. And Friday was the entire town was closed. School was canceled, all this stuff. So at 10:30 at high tide, I went to drive around town because that's what you do. But I
Sure.
didn't have the Jeep. I just had my Honda. So I could go.
Whoa.
There were roads that were closed that I've never seen closed before. I was like,
Right.
what? It was
Yeah.
just, you couldn't go, you literally could not go anywhere.
Yeah.
I got like not even a block away from the house, and I'm like, wait, that road's closed. Like the road right behind us was closed. It's like that road never closes. And then so I went past. I went to the next one, and that one was closed. I'm like, oh, this is bad. So it was way worse
Yeah.
than anything I've seen before. But I kind of like a good nor'easter. Make a fire, and if you don't know what a nor'easter is, if you're not from the Atlantic states, middle Atlantic states, if you're not from that part of the country, it's just wind that comes out of the northeast, and you'll get 50 mile an hour wind gusts with this thing, and
Yep.
sustained winds in the 20s and 30s, and it is just driving rain, and it
Nonstop.
is like a mini hurricane that goes on for days and days and days, and it doesn't, and everything floods. It's
It's
crazy.
like a hurricane on Quaaludes. It's just chilling out over your house. I don't feel like going so fast, so I'm just gonna give you some water. I don't know where I'm going here. Yeah.
Barry, Mark says, imagine if you had no electricity. Yeah, well, we do have a generator, but it's natural gas, so we're going to get rid of that too, I'm sure. No sump pump. You cannot live in this town and not have a sump pump because our basement
Yeah.
started to flood. The basement started to flood, and it turns out for whatever reason, one of the sump pumps was unplugged. I didn't do it because I don't even know where they plug in. So I'm texting my husband and I'm like, I just went into the basement. We're taking on water. What is happening? Like, how is this happening? We did have water in our basement during Sandy, but that's because the sewers backed up and we have a sink down in the basement. And so everything backed up. But, so we did have water, but I'm like, we're taking on water. I thought it was coming up. Oh, it was coming through the walls. I posted a
No.
video of the water coming through the walls in the old part of the house because the the water had nowhere to go. And our backyard, I kid you not, when I say we had like 6 inches of water in the lowest part of the backyard. So we're pumping the water out with this up, but it was just coming back in through the walls. It was just crazy. So, oh no, the
Harsh.
dreaded blotches. The dreaded blotches. What does that mean?
Could be me.
I don't know. You look a little gray. You look a little gray.
I feel a little gray.
So,
Glowy.
James has a lot going on. We're gonna talk about that. But something really big happened. They ousted Kevin McCarthy as speaker. We have to talk about it. Okay. So, I mean, I have to tell you, I'm super confused about this whole thing.
Okay.
I don't know. People are texting me, is this a good thing? Is this a bad thing? What do you think about it? I'm like, I don't know what I think about this. On one hand, you know the devil you have, you don't know the devil you're going to get. I don't think they should have done this without a replacement, right? Like, you don't quit a job until you have another one. So don't fire the speaker until you got somebody else.
Didn't his buddy just take over? Isn't that
well, no, he was appointed. He was appointed. Ken McCarthy got to pick like he puts like 11 names in a hat of people that he would be, his allies or whatever, and then they pick one out. They literally choose someone to be Speaker of the House with a grab bag.
Yeah. Yes, that's our democracy for you.
It's the fairest way to do it, I guess. But, the Republicans have such a narrow margin in the House. Imagine if the Democrats are like, oh, we want a Democrat speaker. Right? Like, does Matt Gaetz think he's going to get it? Listen, I've said this all day. I said it on Sirius on David Webb today. I said it yesterday on Sirius. I was on in the morning, and then I was on for Rob Carson on Newsmax Radio later in the afternoon. Said it on all three shows. Matt Gaetz, I admire his balls. I really do. The man's got guts. He's got that thing that the Republicans don't have. Oh, wait, it's called a spine. He's got that, but he's got too much. It's kind of like when a guy is confident, which is great. It's totally sexy. But when he's cocky, it's a total turnoff. Matt Gaetz is like the cocky version. He doesn't have the confidence. He's cocky. It's too much. Kevin McCarthy is a wimp. It took them 300 days to launch an impeachment inquiry. Over 300 days. They should have impeached Mayorkas on day 2. Look at what's happening at the southern border. Look what's happening in this country. I interviewed a guy today on Sirius who in Texas, there's this city, this Coloniaville or whatever the hell it is, Colonial Village, and it was built by the cartels. And it's totally illegal, and they have no sewage. They just dump crap into the river, and it's huge, and it's been there for years and years and years. Apparently, no one knew it was there. But who do you think is living in these things? We have the cartels, running, senior citizen centers in this country, close gated communities run by Mexican cartels in Texas. Why isn't Mayorkas impeached? So I don't like McCarthy for that reason. But on the other hand, you know who you have. Who are we going to get? Gonna say anything?
No, you're 100% right. You thought they'd go into this with a plan, right? I mean, him out, and we want up whoever, Gaetz or somebody.
Yeah. Well, Gaetz.
I mean, I don't think it's a good idea, but I mean, you figure with him, especially being the one running, running the biggest part of this, you figure there would have been some plan in place, right?
Yeah. See, now Mark says that Gaetz says he doesn't want it. So here's what I think's happening there. I don't buy that for a hot second. It's like the really popular girl who says, "No, I really don't want to be homecoming queen." You should let the sad girl who also got nominated like as a joke or whatever. She should be homecoming queen. I really no. And then like another friend's like, "You be the best homecoming queen ever." Do you think? I don't know. Do you think? I mean, I'm so flattered. Do you really think I should do it? And the next thing Matt Gaetz is, the homecoming king. So I just don't buy he doesn't want it for a hot second.
Yeah, it's politics. Of course he wants it.
Of
Yeah,
course he
of course he
does.
would.
Of course he does.
Who would say no to that?
So here's the other thing, and let's see what Queen's Raiders has to say here. Mark says we need a Trump-like speaker that will call out all House members for what they are. All right, so I've got a lot. I'm going to say something about that. Queen's Raiders, Garland and Lisa Monaco should have been impeached on day one. Exactly. Exactly. So here's the thing. Republicans will never miss the opportunity to squander away power when they have it. They will never miss the opportunity to snatch defeat from the jaws of victory at every turn. And that's what they're doing. I'm surprised nobody pulled the fire alarm during the vote count this afternoon. Oh my gosh, that would have been epic. But
the vote is burn, 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 burn. Oh, that'd have been awesome. Oh my god.
With Kevin McCarthy going, I was just in the bathroom. I thought it was the blow dryer for my hands.
Yeah.
I wish I thought of that. Oh, that is great.
That is great,
Greg. Mark, he'd love the limelight, but I think he knows he'll never get it. Yeah. So now what they've effectively done is, and this is one thing I do admire about the Democrats. My head thing stuck in my hair. Okay. I do admire the way they stick together. I really do. But I also think I admire the way Republicans are free thinkers, right? I think that that's important. So I like that there's not like this lockstep thing, that there's actually discussion among the Republicans because you're supposed to be representing your constituents, right? Whereas Democrats just walk in lockstep. Republicans at least will have discussions and talk about what people want. But that's what gets them in trouble because they don't know when to walk in lockstep, right? Like they just don't know when to do it. This would have been a time where you all walk in lockstep because now Gaetz got the help of the Democrats to oust McCarthy. And he was complaining about McCarthy working with Democrats. Well, so how does that work? You wanted him out because he went across the aisle and worked with the Democrats to get a continuing resolution. You're like, the Democrats can have him. But then you sided with the Democrats to oust McCarthy. So you're a hypocrite.
It was what, 218? I read the 210 or something. The vote was closer than I thought it was.
Well, 216 to 210.
Yeah.
So there were 8 Republicans who voted against McCarthy. Eli Crane out of Arizona, Ken Buck, Andy Biggs, Matt Rosendale from Montana, Matt Gaetz, Bob Good, Nancy Mace, and Tim Burchett. Now, notice who's not there. Remember the people the Freedom Caucus that stood up to McCarthy when he was trying to win the speakership. Remember, they had 17 votes or whatever it was. And who was in the Freedom Caucus? It's Matt Gaetz. It's Marjorie Taylor Greene, Elise Stefanik, Lauren Boebert. They did not vote against Kevin McCarthy. So
are they smart enough to know this is a bad play where it was so hard? Wasn't there a big fight just to finally settle on McCarthy? And now they're like, who wants to go through this fight again now?
Here's the thing
coming up. Why are you going through a big giant fight over a next speaker?
Yeah.
Timing seems silly. I understand, but.
So Queen's Raider says Chip Roy. Listen, he wants, apparently Gaetz wants Steve Scalise to do it, but Steve Scalise is currently being treated for blood cancer. This man has not had it easy. I like Steve Scalise, but whoever takes it over, it's a divided Congress. They have now divided the Republicans who finally have the majority, and now they've divided themselves into camps and aren't going to get anything done. Now, while they're trying to figure this out, nothing gets done. No committees are meeting. So the investigation into Hunter Biden and Joe gets pushed back even farther, right? All this stuff is not getting done. Nothing's being investigated. Nothing's happening. So congratulations.
I mean, the old boys club magically let Hunter Biden get away again.
Speaking of Hunter,
Weird.
speaking of Hunter Biden, did you see him today?
No, you look coked out.
No.
Huh.
Walked into court with a shaved head. Have you ever seen him with a shaved head?
Is he going for a mental thing that we don't know about or something?
No. No, something you should think of. I think you would think of. Conditions of his release, which clearly his lawyers knew ahead of time.
Oh, drug test. Oh.
Random drug testing. Now they can't test his hair.
Oh, it's so shady.
But so brilliant and so Hunter.
Yeah. Of course.
I've never seen him with a shaved head.
He knows how to play the game.
Right.
All
So
druggies
they
do.
can right. So they can take a urine sample or a blood sample.
Coke and any like opiates or Coke or bourbon or any are
Gonna be
all out in
gone.
like 4 days.
Right. Right.
4 days. We
So
don't even.
they would have to time it right. Now, mark my words, Hunter starts living in the White House again. Because in order to get into the White House to test him, they're going to have to make an appointment. So they're going to know ahead of time when the random drug test is happening.
Yeah. That's like my buddy's work where they have a phone tree. As soon as that truck pulls up for the test, phones start going out. Suddenly people start just calling out. I wonder how that works.
What do you mean? I don't understand.
My buddy works at a company where they test, especially because there's a lot of drivers there.
Yeah.
And, the drug wagon pulls up to the company. And
Oh.
at that point, the phone tree starts. And everybody's like, the tree thing's here. And then magically, 7 people call out. On a random day, it happens to be that 7 people just hold out. I don't know how it happened.
They can't. Yes, there are other hairs they can test, but Queen's Raiders, if you saw any of his pictures from his laptop, we know that he is well shorn.
He's very dolphin-like.
He is very dolphin-like. Yeah.
Yeah.
So very all those hair plugs gone to waste. He shaved it. Huh.
Darn. I guess maybe. Maybe he got gum stuck in his hair and he had to shave it all off to get the gum out.
Yeah, that's what it was. Yeah, Pete. That's exactly what I thought too. But apparently, according to Judge Janine, who used to work in the drug court, she goes, she said, "Oh yeah, you can get it from pubic hair, but again, we all know that there's not a lot of hair on Hunter's body. I know more about his body than I do, like of a lot of other people, and it's frightening."
Right.
And I look at he just like he's got that ew look about him, does he? Like,
yeah.
He exudes, at least from a woman's point of view, he exudes like smarm and sleaze and just, ugh. Like even if I saw him fully clothed somewhere, he's got that kind of like, hey, how you doing? Like kind of look about him like, so, what are you doing? What are you up to? How you doing?
It's what he's car salesman.
Right, but he was the kid. Well, I know some car
see?
salesmen who are very nice, but I knew someone in high school who would always come up to you and go, "So, what grade did you get on the test? How was it? How'd you do? How did I?" Like always had to know those things.
Yeah.
Like, and at reunions, it'd be like, "So, what are you doing? Where are you working? How much you making?" Like it was that guy. That's Hunter to me, like a sleazy version of that.
Yeah.
Mark says him and Anthony Weiner are going to Chippendales.
Oh boy! After watching that show, you told me on Max too. I have a whole new appreciation.
Oh, did you watch it?
Swinging, yeah.
Naked Attraction. You watched it? It's disgusting, isn't it? We talked. If you don't know what we're talking about, we talked about it in last week's episode. The latter part of the show, we were laughing so hard we cried. It's hilarious. But there's this show, Naked Attraction. That's a UK show that is now being shown on Max in the US, and it's weird and uncomfortable and odd and not titillating in the least. And
it does garner some interesting discussions, though. I'll tell you that. Really interesting discussions start. You're like, in the beginning, you're kind of like that, but then you sort of like, I don't know. We started picking teams and having camps. It was odd. We were all like,
"Oh, you watched it in a group?"
The group, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And it becomes real interesting dynamic then, huh?
Were your parents with you?
No.
Thank God.
So I never got over to watching The Sopranos with them, so they're definitely not watching this show.
Oh yeah, Tina, they don't circumcise in the UK. We watch it. Yeah, in most of the world they don't.
I will just give my preview. I was amazed to see one amazing, awesome bisexual girl look at one dude and go, I just couldn't with that one. And she was referring to his, to his thighs. She was like, nope.
No. And they
No.
say this out loud while they're, oh my God.
Guys, like, I'm very nice. I'd have been very gentle.
Oh,
I was
God.
like, I know. Those kind of comments, too, that make this show kind of like so weird that you hear their comments and the people are walking. This guy walked away like, I'd have been very gentle and sweet to her. I'm like, this is weird. It's not like she picked it out and he just got the little buzzer or something. He heard it all.
Yep, I know. So for those of you who, so today I didn't get to watch the thing happening on the floor today, but apparently they all started yelling at each other, and people were, on the GOP side was yelling, shame, shame, shame. It sounds very British, right? And Matt Gaetz apparently said when it comes to those who raise money, like it was because Garrett Graves, who is a McCarthy ally, accused Matt Gaetz and the other 8 Republicans of fundraising on the motion to vacate. So he gets up and says, using official actions to make money, it's disgusting. And apparently the McCarthy people were using all the microphones of the Republican side. So Matt Gaetz had to go to the Democrat side. They forced him to stand with the Democrats to make his announcement, right? Well, where were these balls, Matt Gaetz, back when everybody wanted you to impeach Mayorkas, when everybody wanted the impeachment inquiry, 250 days ago instead of 300? It's hilarious seeing Mary's facial expressions after the circumcision talk.
Well, they're just different. That's all.
It's just weird looking.
Makes good looking ones even look strange.
Yeah, well, you know what you learn from the show? The human body, you're like, what the hell was God thinking? Like, maybe if we had fur, at least it would be cute, right? Like, cats are at least cute, dogs are at least cute because they're furry. Like, maybe the furries are onto something. Those weirdos.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe they're onto something. So, okay. So, all right. So here we go. After 11 Republicans voted with every Democrat to vacate the measure, McCarthy's allies had taken up all the microphones on the GOP side, and they forced Matt Gaetz to make his case from the Democrat side. And he just starts saying, chaos is Speaker McCarthy. Chaos is somebody we cannot trust with the word. And McCarthy was just looking down. I kind of feel badly for him. I kind of do. It's kind of hard to see. Yeah. It's like an after school movie about the bullied kid. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like one of those ABC after school specials.
I'm going to take my gavel and go home.
Exactly. So then Graves gets up and says, accuses them of using official actions to make money and calls it disgusting. And then the GOP, the McCarthy people start yelling, shame, 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 which was the majority of the Republicans. Only 8 Republicans voted to oust McCarthy. So whoever gets this spot has to deal with 8 people who like him and the majority who don't.
I feel like what you said earlier about the ones who chose not to and all that, I think they all realized it might be some form of political suicide. Because, man, if this election goes really bad for the Republicans and there's all this horse nonsense and...
Yep. So Gaetz says, when it comes to how to raise money, I take no lecture on asking patriotic Americans to weigh in and contribute to this fight from those who would grovel and bend the knee for the lobbyists and special interests who own our leadership. And then somebody just shouts out, you're no martyr.
That's awesome. That guy definitely needs something. That's awesome.
I should have sent this to you. We could have done it like we do Easter Mass. When, the audience plays the crowd, free Barabbas, and the priest does Jesus, and the reader does Pontius Pilate, and you reenact the Passion. All I know is we only get to say crucify him, and I don't like that. So it was crazy town, which I think is hilarious. So now nothing's going to get done. So congratulations. Because of 9 Republicans.
Good timing. And a lot of Democrats. Who were like,
yeah,
can we mess up your day? Sure.
Exactly.
Let us weigh in here. Get this guy out, sure.
Oh, Mark, have a great rest of the show. I've got to go get my campaign for the speakership ready to go. I vote Mark. I vote
Go,
Mark.
Mark. Go, Mark.
All right. So this is what I really wanted to do during the show. Tell everybody what Sunday is, James.
Wait, what's Sunday again? Oh, right. That's right. I'm getting married.
And who are you
I'm
marrying?
Miss Ringo, affectionately known as Tina.
Ringo. Yes, Miss Tina
Probably
and
isn't
my
watching
work
right now.
husband are getting hitched. We're dying laughing right now. I'm glad we're entertaining you. um, so I wanted to talk about. I thought everybody, and this is what I put out on Facebook and Twitter and everything. Your words of marriage advice for James and Tina. If you would like to chime in, things to do, things not to do, things you've learned. You can have
From
some fun with it, but some serious stuff as well. I thought
it's
if you don't mind, we could do that.
That's great because it's marriage too. So maybe your advice is run. I don't.
Yeah, well, the marriage one advice would have been, you should probably be around.
Yeah. I would probably live in the same apartment.
Right, live in the same
Yeah.
apartments. You
For
know.
people who don't know, I lived down the shore, and my wife lived in Bucks County, PA, for several years.
Yeah.
Several years we lived only seeing each other on the weekends for what I thought was the best marriage ever. Turns out I was wrong.
And I knew him during this time, and the funny thing was, is he was shocked. I was
Right.
like, "Wow, you're pretty much the only one shocked at this turn of events."
Now I will admit, I was the one who suggested we move in together, and you may say the downfall started then when we figured out we probably shouldn't be married.
Oh, so you
Yeah,
move in together after you were living
it all
apart.
fell apart. Yeah. We were living apart all that time, and then we moved 2013. We moved in together, and then in
Yeah.
2016 we done got divorced. So 3 years of actually living together, and we were like, yeah, I don't think so.
And the other part of it was like you really didn't have a great job, very lucrative.
Well, the end was going back to radio. Literally,
Yes.
that was my signing my own divorce. Like, I have a plan here. I'm going to go back to radio, and you're either going to be okay with it, or you can move with your parents. I mean, it was much nicer than that, but that was the gist of the discussion.
Yeah. Yeah. And now you don't work in radio. So look at that.
But I proved my point.
I don't know what my point was, but I proved it. So, okay, I'm going to ask you a question. So here's the
Sure.
story on Reddit. There is a thread called the subreddit called AITAH. Am I the a hole? Okay,
Mm-hmm.
and people go on there and they ask for people to tell them who's to blame in some kind of civil dispute.
Okay.
Excuse me. So a bride who claims she's 27 years old wanted to know if she was wrong because she abruptly left her wedding after her husband smashed cake in her face in front of all of the guests. She said that she knew her husband found cake smashing videos funny and she asked him not to do it because she's not fond of it. Now, she said it's a tradition. I didn't know it was a tradition. I knew it was tradition to feed each other. I'm going to take care of you. I'm going to feed you, that kind of thing. But I didn't know smashing it in someone's face was traditional. I actually think it's kind of gauche.
I can see where people think it's at least very common enough to think it's a tradition. But I'm with you. I'm not a smash cake in each other's face kind of person. But I would, for the record, not leave the wedding or my husband over cake smashing.
Well, here you go. Tina says, "Isn't that like a tradition? I'm going for the cake smash." Well,
you psycho.
She said, "I told him if he ever did something like that, I'd leave him." And he started laughing, but I was for real. She said her husband scooped up a huge chunk of wedding cake and smashed it into her face. She claims she left the venue right away, despite her husband and her family's attempts to get her to stay. She said, "This was supposed to be the happiest day of our lives, and he embarrassed me in front of everyone for some prank that he knew I hated. Not only that, he ruined a $500 cake. He ruined my makeup, my hair, and the top of my dress. The cake got all over." So she asked if her departure was an overreaction, but 31,200 people said she did the right thing. 12,500 said she did the wrong thing. So the majority said she did the right thing.
I think if it's that important to you, she definitely did the right thing. I
Sure.
wouldn't. It's not that important to me. I'm not into it, but it's not a go no go. But I can see if like you set ahead like I don't like embarrassing things like this. It's the same thing like those dumb people who say like I never don't you ever put my name up in lights at a baseball game and ask me to be engaged. I'd be super embarrassed, and they do it anyway and wonder why they say no.
Right, exactly.
But you were kidding with.
But not only that, the wedding cake cost $500 and he just grabbed part of it and smashed it. Like, that's a $500 cake, dude.
Yeah.
This isn't like a Sara Lee thing in the freezer department, all right? Like this is a $500 cake. And now her makeup is ruined, so there go all the pictures for the rest of the night. Her hair's ruined, and the top of the dress, depending on what it's made out of, that is now ruined as well. Not that you're going to wear it again, but you may want to keep it, maybe give it to your daughter if she ever wants to like make a dress out of it. He's ruined all of that.
Yeah.
So you know what they say? They say you should talk about it before the wedding.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
need to discuss exactly what is going to happen and what is not going to happen. Like we didn't
But they
do the
did.
right,
Right? They did. I mean, she warned
that's
them,
true.
and
That's very
she
true.
held to her thing. So smart.
Yeah, but she walked off and she said, "Well, I caused a scene."
Yeah.
So I guess she's getting a lot of blowback for causing a scene. But it's in her hair, it's in her face. Everything's ruined.
Well, I don't think she caused the scene. I think she just added to the scene. He already started the
Right.
scene
Yeah.
by throwing the cake in her face with some at least idea. I mean, and I'm not saying you get a pass, but maybe you get a discussion if he was pretty drunk. They were
Right.
both pretty drunk. I don't know. I'm just saying, like I don't know if any of that even applies. I'm saying
You know what you do?
maybe.
You have two forks, two plates, and a little piece of and that's what you do when you feed each other, and that's that. Like you should also talk about things like we didn't do the taking the garter off and putting the garter
Yeah,
and
we're not doing
somebody
it
else
either.
we didn't
Yeah.
we didn't do that because I don't want to embarrass some poor woman who maybe has like my brother who is like a horny 22-year-old or what like sliding this thing up her leg, or even worse, it's like he had to do it to like a 56-year-old woman. Like it's just weird and awkward. So we
Yeah.
didn't do that. I had a bouquet to throw, and he had a garter to throw, but we did not force them then to participate in anything else. We didn't do that, and he didn't take it off like I had an extra one. There was none of that going on.
Right.
Yeah.
Some
Oh
people love
wait.
that stuff though, and that's fine if you like that stuff. But I mean, that's not.
Yeah.
You know.
But you need to talk about it first. And I honestly, my husband was in medical school, so I just planned everything, and everything was a surprise to him. So that was good.
Yeah.
She says, "I give you permission. I will not leave you, LB, whatever that means."
Little buttercup.
Queens, uh, it should have been in the prenuptial agreement.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Pete says, advice, honesty, and always talk about disagreements. If you can live with not getting your way, let her have her way. Never degrade her in front of others. Those are all really good pieces of advice.
They
Those are
are Pete.
great pieces of advice. They really
Yeah.
are. That whole the other thing too that goes along with that, because I just went to a wedding shower and they asked for advice, like always do this, never do this, right? And one of the things, and I think Pete kind of speaks to it here, is now that you're married, you don't go running to your friends and your family with your problems. You got it. You never go outside the cone of marriage. And that's why I think when couples live together before marriage, it doesn't lower the divorce rate. Like everybody thinks like, oh, living together first, I have to know this person is so we don't get divorced. The divorce rate hasn't really lowered. I mean,
Nope.
if that worked, divorce would be at practically zero, right? But it
You
doesn't.
would think.
Right.
Right.
So that doesn't work. And I think one of the reasons for that is you guys are just coming home and you're moving into the same house. Nothing is different. Whereas if you didn't live together before marriage, there's an entire almost ceremony now that you embark on this together. You get your place to live together. You decorate it together. It's our first place that we're together. So it's different. When you get married and you just go back to your regular house or apartment or where you've been living for the whole time, nothing's changed except you had a great party and a piece of paper. So the gravity of being married isn't attached to that. There's that ceremony isn't there anymore.
Yeah. There was
So
a
I
time,
think
like you said, that you just didn't live together. That really was your first time in a place where you were gonna every day for the next
Yep.
rest of your lives, they say.
Yep.
Yeah.
And you were literally starting your lives together from marriage on. Now you start your lives together a couple of years before, so marriage isn't a big deal anymore. Marriage is a piece of paper. A lot of people say, "Oh, it's just a piece of paper." But those who choose to get married, it is somewhat of a big deal to them, but their lives don't really change.
Right.
So I think because you guys are living together, you need some kind of thing that will change, a tradition. You need to do something now different to make it feel special so that you do feel like you're married and not just living together anymore.
Yeah. We're used to bringing in broken animals, so we decided we're going to become polyamorous and just bring in broken couples. We'll
Oh,
adopt
okay.
couples. That'll be the new thing, right? So we didn't really have the other part, but that'll be the new.
Well, hold on. Hold on.
Huh?
Um,
Funny you say
hold,
that, huh?
Pete says after 43 years of marriage, I got all these wrong. All the advice he just gave you, he got all of them wrong. Well,
Yeah,
you know
man.
what though? He can admit it that listen, you go through
Yeah.
marriage, you're going to do a lot of stuff wrong with each other, but talking to someone who's preparing her pre-Cana talk. Tina, I think our friendship, where is it? It didn't come through here. Oh, here it is. I think our friendship before the relationship was a huge advantage. Sure, absolutely. Being friends first is huge.
It did
I
not
think
hurt.
that's great. But
We
I
didn't meet
think
on
you need,
Tinder.
I'm sorry?
So we didn't meet on Tinder or Match or something. You know what I mean? We actually knew each other a long time.
Well, yeah, because when you first met her, she was in eighth grade. So, and
Cracking
you
that
were out
story out again, are
working.
we?
Yeah. And you were out working and she was in eighth grade and you couldn't even take her out for a drink. So is she old
Yeah,
enough to drink at her own wedding now?
she is. Yes,
Okay,
yes. Thank
good,
you. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
good, good. All right.
Yep.
Just
Old
checking.
enough to drink at her wedding. Yep. 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 You can have a toast legally. Almost. I mean, oh yeah, no, we're good. Yeah, just checking. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm, I'm going to have so much fun at your wedding. Um,
I'm sure Dan's not going to help either.
no, he's not. Mary brought us together technically. Yeah, it's so funny. They keep saying that, like, oh, you guys, you've known us since the beginning. I was like, yeah, but I really don't. I've never met Tina. I've never met Ringo. So I don't really know you, right? Like, I don't really know. I didn't know you guys were even dating until, that time here. And I'm like, oh, you're dating Tina. Like, I just knew.
Yeah,
But
that time she reminds me of a lot. Oh yeah, that time. Yeah,
yeah, that time.
yeah, that time.
So you said you just taken broken couples, and if you want to leave a
Yeah,
comment
yeah,
here, you want to leave some wedding advice for them, please do. I'd
yeah.
love to get your advice or relationship advice. Maybe you're married and divorced, whatever, or never married, but things you've learned. And if you want to know how not to communicate with each other, watch any reality relationship show on television. 90 Day Fiance, Teen Mom, anything where they just yell at each other and don't listen and shout over each other and don't pay attention. That's
It's the
that's for
American
sure.
way.
Yeah. So Pew Research Center did a survey, and it was conducted with 5,073 respondents earlier this year. It was
Okay.
published last week, and they found that 51% of young adults ages 18 to 29 say open marriages are acceptable. So look at you, James.
See, I don't have the worst idea ever.
Yeah,
You're an old man.
yeah, no, it's a
That, that,
bad idea. For
that
you,
idea slaps.
it's a bad idea.
It slaps.
Um,
That idea, as the kids would say, it slaps.
oh, is that what it is?
I
Is that
think
what
so.
all the
I
kids
think
are
that's
saying? Or is that what you just hear Tina saying to her girlfriends?
No, I think I heard that one somewhere else. Technically, where young people were, but either way, I don't quite understand it. So it might be
Well,
cat for all I know. I don't know.
you're not supposed to say that. So you're not supposed to understand it, rather. So, okay. Fewer than half, 41% of those ages 30 to 49, though, say these marriages are acceptable. So notice the difference. It goes from 51 to 41,
Yeah, yeah.
51 to 41. Like it drops. You know why? 18 to 29-year-olds, not all, that's a very low percentage of married couples in that age group.
Also, the fun times. Right?
Right.
You're out doing your fun
Right.
stuff anyway, so it just makes
Exactly.
sense. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, I'd love to
Yeah.
just have free love with 5 husbands and wives. We'll all live together in a big harmonious thing like a hippie commune. It'll be great. Yeah, I'm sure.
Tina, I didn't say that, and he embarrasses me every time he says it. He did not learn slaps from me. Never even heard it.
That's
Now,
cat.
let's see. 26% of people ages 50 to 64. So once you go from 49, from
Uh-oh.
up to 39, it's 41%. Then it goes to 26%. And 64, 65 and older is a 15%. I think it's a good idea.
Let me tell you what I vaguely disagree with about those numbers. Okay.
Okay.
I listen to a couple of these kind of fun adult shows,
Mm-hmm.
and it does seem like it's the older generation that's swinging their husbands and wives around. It does not seem like the
Yes.
20-year-olds I'm hearing on these shows who are the ones that are most open to talk about it. It's all these older couples that probably said on this survey, no, I would never do that. But meanwhile, Tim's a big fan.
So you know the villages in Florida?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So if I don't know, depending on where you live in the country, in the Northeast, they had a commercial that had a little song, "The Villages, America's friendliest hometown," right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And they were biking and riding and playing biking. We like this for biking, playing golf and doing all this stuff, right? And it's
Right.
all senior citizens, and they're all spry. They don't look. None of them look like Joe Biden. They're not like walking like this. They're all like having a great time. They all look like they're retired at 30, and so they were getting everybody to come on down to the villages. We'll send you a free brochure, right? So the villages is huge. It's just absolutely huge, right? And they have one of the highest STD infection rates in the country because they do a lot of swinging down there. There's a lot of that stuff going on, right? That's number one, because you got to figure there's probably a lot of widows and widowers and that type of thing going on. So there's a lot of that going on, but they're not worried about getting pregnant, so they don't use protection. And God, years ago, I knew this woman, and her mother and his father were dating, like each one of their spouses died. And they wound up, and she's like, "This is the weirdest, most uncomfortable thing ever," right? Because it would be like parents, and their kids are dating, like my parents and Doug's parents, my husband's parents are very close and have
Right.
been very close for a really long time. So for them, oh yeah, it's great. Our kids. My mother would just be like, "You're not allowed to ever break up with him. You cannot break up with him." I was like,
Right.
oh, okay, So I was like, all right, can't break up with him. So there was the same thing, but she said to me, she said, I had to have the talk with my mother. I'm like,
Oh,
what do you mean you had to have the talk with your mother? She goes, so I had to talk to her about protection and about sexually transmitted diseases because all she knows is the clap. And because this is 20 years ago, and her mother was in like her 70s, and so now she'd be in her 90s. And she said, I had it, like, she doesn't know about using a condom to protect yourself from sexually transmitted diseases, not for pregnancy. It's for a lot of other things. She said, because she's having sex with my father-in-law. So I had to have, and she goes, and my husband had to have a discussion with his father, telling his father to wear a condom.
how do you broach that uncomfortable stuff? You just throw the box on the table and be like, "Hey,
Dad,
Dad, remember these? Remember when you threw these at me? Well, I never finished the box, and here's a few left for you." I like. There's no. I don't. I mean, I can't imagine. I'd rather shoot a dog. Like I can't think of a thing I would rather do less in my life. And I love doggies. Like there's no way I would have that conversation with my parents.
nope.
No way. If it was like, look, you got to put our dog Stanley down, or you can have the discussion with mom about condoms. I'd be like, I'm putting the dog down. Like,
Stanley,
yeah,
nice knowing you.
yeah. Sorry,
Not your day, Stanley.
let's go, buddy. Up in the car. It's time to go to the animal hospital.
we're
I'm
gonna,
not having that conversation.
we're going to a farm.
Yeah, we're going to a farm because little Jimmy's not having that conversation about Jimmy's. You know what I mean? Or whatever.
Oh my God.
No.
Let's say
Oh. Whew.
this is I'm not even putting this up there.
Can't put that one up, huh?
Wait a minute. I don't know. Can you see the comments on your thing? Well, it's up on the internet, so it's up.
Yeah.
It's up on the page. I don't know. I don't know what that means. So I'm not putting that up there. I'm not going to put it up on the screen. I'm not reading it out loud because I'm not quite sure where they're going.
Are you talking about?
Yeah. I'm not quite sure. Well, I guess the best protection is not having teeth or hair. It works well for me. I guess he is bald and toothless.
Yeah, yeah.
That's the best protection you can have.
Still might work out for some people. There's somebody for everybody, my friend.
That's right. There's a lid for every pot. So
100%. You saw some of the people at my old work and who they were married to. There was definitely a lid for every pot. Yeah. Yeah, I'm just saying. Somebody married me.
well, you never look at a radio station for normalcy.
Right.
No. Or like an art school for normalcy.
By the way, we're probably some of the most adjusted radio people I know, because we both know some very unadjusted radio people.
It's probably why neither one of us is successful in radio.
Could be, and why some I don't know how some of those people are still married.
I know.
Some of those people I know who we talk about who are unadjusted have these long-term marriages.
Well, some of the married groupies.
Yeah.
Right? Like some of the, like that.
Yeah.
The back in the day, before the internet, if you were on radio, nobody knew what you looked like. You had to have public. We had glamour shots taken one time. I'm like, really? Because they had to trade with glamour shots, so we all had to go get our headshots at glamour shots. My hair is like this big, and I have like a cowboy hat on and one. I showed them to you. Remember when we went through my parents? If there's an episode on here, if you go on YouTube, there's an episode, and it was what was it? Downsizing Your Parents, I think it was.
Yeah.
And I take you through everything. My brother dropped off in my driveway and ran like a little coward, and my mother there were just pictures and pictures, and they were just stuff that were in my bedroom, and some of them were the old glamour shots, and it's got like that fuzzy lens,
Yeah.
And like, you can't use these for publicity pictures. And my hair was like teased within an inch of its life. And it was terrible. And they put like a boa on you, or a cowboy hat, a jaunty cowboy hat, It's just like, it's terrible.
Those things back then were naturally just designed to smear the edges and make everything right. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
I heard a joke. The worst thing that ever happened to porn was HD. Nothing was fuzzy anymore.
True.
You know what I mean?
That's probably true.
Yeah.
So I would tell you that you guys have to learn how to talk. You have to learn how to communicate.
Yeah.
Which and I know you said here on the air, so I'm not telling secrets out of school that you guys are doing counseling.
Yeah.
Beforehand.
Absolutely.
I think that is so admirable. I think everyone should have some kind of premarital counseling. I really do. And we have in the Catholic Church, there's pre-Cana. And it has a horrible reputation. It really does. It was like, oh, I gotta do pre-Cana, and nobody wants to do it. But I didn't want to do it, and we actually had a really good experience. We learned there was actually really useful things, and they teach you about finances, like who's going to pay the bills. Are you going to join everything together, or are you going to keep some stuff separate? How are you going to make it work? What are you going to do? Are you going to have joint credit cards, separate credit cards? What's the spending limit that someone can make? Like if Tina's out and she wants to use a credit card to buy something because she sees it, and like, is there a limit? You got to call me if it's more than $100, or you got to call me if it's more than $200, or you got to all those things. You've got to sit down. If we have kids, okay, how are we going to discipline them? How are we going to bring them up? Are they going to go to church? Okay, which church? Are we going to raise them in a faith? Are you are you a disciplinarian like your parents? All those things before you get there, because I've seen way too many of these reality shows. We don't talk about any of this stuff, and he's like, well, I wanted 3 kids. And she's like, wait, what? 3 kids?
Or the religion's another one. I've known people that have,
yes,
or they've gotten religious, but I mean, they have never had any pre-discussion of it. And it comes back to haunt people later, Oh, I didn't want to tell you earlier. Or I just,
Yeah.
Because the kid I've regained, or because the kid I've regained my faith, or one of those things that's like, it can make things really complicated if you've never ever had any discussions ever. You imagine like you've been married 8 years and like you find out your wife believes in God, or you didn't even know, or whatever. Any discussion, any of the ways that this could, come back to bite you, or man, or whatever.
Yeah. So, and of course, discuss everything before your wedding day of what you are going to do and what you're not going to do, and what's acceptable and what's not acceptable.
Right.
And we will post pictures. I'll take pictures.
Oh yeah, there'll definitely be pictures. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll share pictures next week. Are you going? Are you going on a honeymoon?
We postponed our honeymoon until March. There's
Okay.
things she really wants to do in March. Our choice was do that and make it our honeymoon or have honeymoon. If
Yeah.
we're financially responsible. So we're like, oh, let's
Which
just wait
is
till
good.
March. Yeah, we'll just do
Yeah.
the thing we want to do in March. It's fine.
Good. We discuss all our finances. His question usually is it a must or can it wait until the next check and we discuss? That's great. You should also discuss how much money you're taking out of your income
Yeah.
and putting away to not be touched in case of a health emergency, in
Paying
case
yourself.
of, paying yourself first so that you don't have to, so that you can maybe someday have your own place, or retirement. You're not getting any younger.
Nope.
You're less than 15 years away from Social Security and Medicare. So,
That's awesome. You think it'll be there in 15 years?
I know it's not going to be there when I'm there either. When I get there, it's not going to be there. I know,
Good
but
stuff.
well, it'll be means tested. They'll do something. But my point is, those are all just things that you got to think about. I think so. So anyway, all right, listen, I also want to remind people to tune into Brian and Pete Talk Scripture. It's a really good podcast. Pete, who joins us here, is one of the hosts of that, Brian and Pete Talk Scripture. Check that out. Thank you to EB, of course, always. EB does all of my graphics. We will have a guest next week, so I'm going to have to get his picture, and EB can do a graphic for us. Although I don't know if anybody's going to know who he is, so I don't know if it's graphic worthy. I don't know. I'll have to see. I don't think he's going to be a regular. So, for the regulars, I'm doing like the graphics, like Christine Flowers, Bobby Barack, those people. Yeah, we have them on, regularly. We'll do that. So he'll do that. And to, of course, Zach, our number one fan. Zach, you are the best. Thank you so much. Now, programming note. Okay. Thursday and Friday, I'm back in for David Webb on Sirius XM Patriot Channel 125. That is 9 a.m. to noon Eastern. And then this weekend, I'm on the Wendy Bell Show on Newsmax TV. So that is Saturday at 3:30, Sunday at 4:30, or flip it, whichever. But check your listings. Anyway, Newsmax Saturday, Sunday, and it's Monday at 6 a.m. All right.
I like it. Yeah.
All right. And Sunday I'll be tripping the light fantastic with you guys. There's dancing, right?
Of course.
Of course. All right. And I'm telling you right now, I'm going to be overdressed because I don't know what to wear.
Okay.
So just so you know.
You're welcome.
I'll be overdressed.
Yeah.
So it's the way I roll. I'd rather be overdressed than underdressed because I'd be embarrassed if I was underdressed. So.
Right. So jeans and Chuck Taylors are not what you're wearing. Yeah, okay. Just checking.
Unless it's a jeans, if everyone else is going to be wearing jeans, then I'll wear jeans. But
I don't think so.
You don't think everyone else is going to be wearing? All right, we'll talk off air about.
We'll talk about it.
All right, we'll talk off air. Okay, thank you, everybody. We really, really appreciate you, and we will see you next Tuesday. Also, next Monday, I'll be on the Chris Salcedo show too. So, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday on Wendy Bell, and Monday evening on Chris Salcedo. And I think I'm doing radio on Monday too. I don't know, but I post it all the time. So follow me on Twitter at Mary Walter Radio, and James is switched to Richard, the number 2 Richard, on Twitter as well. Thank you so much and have a fantabulous rest of your week. Bye.